This is the Horse Radio Network. This is episode 297 of Horse Tip Daily. A different horse tip, a different equine topic, a different equestrian expert every day. Horse Tip Daily brings the world of equine knowledge to you one day at a time. Today's tip is sponsored by Equestrian Collections. Visit them at equestriancollections.com. Hi, Glenn the Geek back with you from Lexington, Kentucky, and you're listening to Horse Tip Daily, only a few short days away now from the World Equestrian Games. Don't forget to check out horseradionetwork.com and click on the World Equestrian Games link to see all of our coverage. We're putting out 27 special episodes for the World Equestrian Games. On today's tip, we go back to one of the finest horse photographers in the world and our first guest ever, episode 1, Scott Trees. I love talking to Scott. Scott's such an interesting guy. He's been around the world. He's done so many different things. It's just so much fun to chat with him. And you'll learn something along the way about photography. And coming into the World Equestrian Games, I need to learn all I can before I go start taking pictures over there of all the world champions. And we'll get to Scott's tip right after I mention that Equestrian Collections, you know what? It's coming into fall. It's getting to be that time of year. And I know a lot of people absolutely love fall. For me, it's kind of a mixed blessing because I don't like winter so much. So it's kind of just that lead up into winter. But fall and winter are coming, whether we like it or not. And you can get all of your fall clothing and your clothing for you, clothing for your horse, clothing for your husband, clothing for your kids. You can find it all at equestriancollections.com. They have all the winter wear for you and your horses that you're ever going to need. They have over 20 different manufacturers of blankets and sheets, all at prices you can afford. So hop on over to equestriancollections.com. You're going to like what you find for the fall and winter. Let's say hi to Scott. Well, hi, Scott. Thank you for being on again. We really appreciate you taking time out of your travel schedule to be with us.
Well, it's always a pleasure to talk to you, Glenn. I enjoy it.
Well, what are we talking about today? We'll get right to it because every time I talk to you, I end up talking for 10 minutes about nothing, and then we finally get to the tip.
We do get a little sidetracked.
Yeah, we do. I think both of our ADDs kick in, and that's it. It's just, we're done.
Go. Well, what I wanted to talk about briefly is I talked a lot about what people can do to improve their work, and that's certainly one of the things that the whole digital realm has accomplished is it's put cameras into the hands of people that wouldn't have had them 5 or 10 years ago for sure, that wouldn't have been able to get the quality and the results that they're being able to get now. So what happens with that a lot of times is you get people that think, well, gosh, I'm going to run an ad in a magazine or I need a new shot of my horse for promotion. I think I'll go out and shoot it myself. And that's good and bad. One of the things I have seen a lot in the magazines today, and certainly on the internet, is you do see people's efforts at shooting horses themselves. And one of the things that I think people do find when they try that is that horses are not easy to shoot at all. And so I think people need to kind of sit down and figure out, okay, when do I need to hire a professional and when do I need to figure that I can do it for myself? One of the things you have to take a look at is the medium and the vehicle you're using. For example, if you're going to be advertising in any of your breed publications, the chances are the majority of the photographs that are going to be in that publication have been taken by professionals. So when you come in, unless you really come in, and I'm not saying people can't come and get the great shot, but one of the things about being a professional is that we have to produce on demand. It can't be an accident. It's not just because the horse happen to hit a good look. I mean, more often than not, as a working pro out there, I've got to make. It's what I hide as much as what I accentuate in a horse, and it's also, you've got a horse that's not feeling good and is tired and isn't moving well, and it's hot and they're bored and they're angry or they're hungry or whatever. I've got to deliver the shot. It can't be an accident, and so you're going to be competing in these publications with those kinds of shots that are going to make your shot less noticeable, and that initial impact as a photographer, my goal has never been to have the most pictures in a magazine. If I have one picture in a magazine, I hope it's the one shot you remember that gets your attention, because we have less than an eighth of a second to get people's attention in today's media world, especially in the print media. So, you need to use a pro when you've got to try and establish an image, when you're trying to, for a breeding horse especially, I think this is extremely important. And the same would hold true for video. I mean, videos become very easy to use and very easy to shoot, but there's an art to shooting a horse in video. There's an art to editing horses. And so I think it's important that people realize that certain situations, just because you can get the shot doesn't mean that you should do it yourself, because you're going to be outclassed. People aren't going to pay attention to your pictures, and in some cases you're not going to give a very flattering shot of your horse at all. And, egos have to be separated from this, and just because you took it doesn't necessarily mean it's a good shot.
Yes, and so you would say that if you're doing obviously if you're selling $1,000 horse, you can do your own video. If you're selling a $100,000 horse, you're still saying get the professional in there,
right? Or if you're selling a horse at stud. I mean, if you're trying to say, look, this is a horse that you should breed to. You want a picture that makes people go, gosh, that horse is beautiful. And there's lots of people out there shooting today, and then there's all kinds of levels of shooting. And I think you can look through the magazine, certainly, and you'll see names and go, well, go to their website, take a look at what they're doing. All of us have a style. I've never felt that any of us are better than anybody else. We all have our own style of shooting. And so, some styles work better for other ads than others do. I mean, some photographers just shoot body shots and headshots, but they're really good at that. Or you've got the photographers that shoot the arty, emotional shots. They're very good at that. I've got some clients I shoot for that have 2 or 3 different photographers come out a year, because we all have a different look at how we photograph their horses. But the other thing that I'll touch on briefly, and I think we've talked about this a little bit, but everybody thinks, well, I've hired the photographer, I paid for the pictures, they belong to me, I can do anything I want with them, and they really can't. The federal copyright statutes read that anybody that takes a picture, even though they're being paid for it, the rights to those pictures still belong to the photographer. Now, some photographers get really funny about this, and you're going to have to pay me for this, you're going to have to pay me for that, yada yada yada. And it's my feeling has been, they've hired you to take the shot, and it doesn't do you any good to keep them from using it. But I think you're going to find more and more working pros are saying, well, I'm going to sell you the rights for print media, I'm going to sell you the rights for to use it on the internet, or I'm going to give you a package for both. So when you hire a pro and they do this, it's not that they're trying to gouge you or trying to stick you for something. It's in the film days, when somebody ordered a print from me, if they wanted to order a print for 5 different magazines, they would order 5 different shots of the same, or 5 different copies of the same shot. And in all honesty, the advertising world has always used fees and usage anyhow. The horse industry was a little bit slower to get involved with that, because the photographers could make their money off of the additional shots they sell. Now they sell a digital file, or they provide a digital file, and that's changed everything. So I think you find one of the reasons this trend has taken is A, to get more in line with how advertising shooters work, and B, it's a profitability issue. I mean, photographers had to offset the loss of income somehow.
Right. And that's only going to get worse too, as we
it is. And of course, the problems that we run into, and I mean, frankly, I run into it all the time with people taking my stuff off the internet and using it it's bullets, it's on there, it's out there, I can do whatever I want with it. And it's like, no, you really can't. And that's just an issue that I think I find more and more people in the horse industry are aware of it. And I think it's because a lot of us have been trying to educate our clients, have been trying to say, look, here's what needs to be done. And the reality is, Glenn, in all honesty, I mean, even some of my greatest shots have a shelf life of a couple of years in the advertising world, if that.
Right.
And so, it's not like you've, got the picture of the flag raising at Iwo Jima, that's going to have historical content forever. The vast majority of the shots that we shoot of horses for advertising don't have an eternal shelf life on them, and you've got to keep looking for new shots, new images, new looks. I will say, from an advertising point of view, that my old philosophy has always been headshots and body shots are necessary, but they don't necessarily get attention. And so, if you remember that the purpose of a picture is to get attention, and in an advertisement especially. And so, these are just, I know there's going to be times when a lot of people want to do this themselves, but there are going to be times when they should go out and hire a pro and look around, talk to them, look at their websites, see what you like, and give them a call.
And that's the best way to find. I was going to say we should do another tip on how to find a pro that you're going to fit best with.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's, there's a range of, egos out there. There's a range of, styles, et cetera, et cetera. And I mean, of course, most initial exposure people will see is they'll see something in the magazines.
Right.
Certainly Google horse photographer. You can, the web certainly provides you with a good means of looking at somebody's work and to see their style. Because really that's what you're hiring. I mean, you're not, in all honesty, you're not paying me for using my camera. You're paying me for what I know how to do, and you're paying me for the style that I can deliver you. That's what I'm charging you for. My talent and my experience and my vision. That's really what you're hiring me for, and that's what you hire any photographer for.
All right, great. And they can hire you by going to?
They can hire me anytime they want to at www.treesmedia.com.
All right, that's treesmedia.com. And you also sell prints over there. You're doing seminars now. Yep. You're just a busy guy.
Yep. I try to be.
All right, thanks, Scott. We'll talk to you again soon.
All right, good talking with you, Glenn. Take care.
If you haven't had a chance yet to stop over and see Scott's work, please do that at treesmedia.com. He does a terrific job, and he has some fantastic prints up there. And he also is a world traveler, has been to some of the coolest places in the world, taking pictures of horses and other things, architectural pictures as well. And they're all right over there at treesmedia.com. Thank you, everybody, for joining me again today. We look forward to chatting with you again tomorrow. We'll be back with another new horse tip and another new expert. Until then, have a safe ride, everybody.